The call came on a Thursday afternoon, 3 weeks before Dad's retirement party. Isabelle, honey, we need to discuss the retirement celebration. I was in my office reviewing acquisition documents for my 14th property, a boutique hotel in the arts district that would complement my portfolio beautifully. My real estate empire now included 23 properties across the city, generating $47 million in annual revenue. What about it, Mom? I asked, signing my initials on page 62. Well, we've booked the Harbor Club for the party. You know, that exclusive waterfront venue? Quite prestigious. Very formal. The Harbor Club. I knew it well. I'd purchased it 18 months ago for $8.2 million. It was one of my more profitable acquisitions, high-end events, wealthy clientele, excellent staff. That sounds nice, I said neutrally. The thing is, sweetheart. Mom's voice took on that careful tone she used when delivering bad news. The dress code is very strict. Black tie. The atmosphere is quite elevated. And frankly, the costs are substantial. Even the valet parking is $50. I flipped to page 63, still listening. What I'm trying to say is, perhaps it would be better if you sat this one out. Your brother and sister will be there with their spouses, and they're more accustomed to these kinds of venues. We wouldn't want you to feel uncomfortable or out of place. I set down my pen. Out of place. You know what I mean, honey. You're still working at that property management company, still renting that little apartment. The Harbor Club is really for people who are more established. We're trying to save you from feeling awkward. How thoughtful, I said quietly. I knew you'd understand, Mom said, relief flooding her voice. We'll have a nice family dinner afterward, just us. Somewhere more your speed. Sure, Mom. Whatever you think is best. After I hung up, I sat looking at the city skyline through my corner office windows. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up the Harbor Club's event file. Sterling Retirement Celebration, June 10th, 7 p.m. VIP Suite. Client, Patricia Sterling. My mother. Hosting my father's retirement party at my venue. Uninviting me because I couldn't afford the dress code. I smiled and picked up my phone, calling my property manager for the Harbor Club. Gerald, it's Isabelle. The Sterling event on June 10th. I want you to personally oversee it. Give them impeccable service. Whatever they want. Of course, Ms. Chin. Should I mention you'll be attending? No, I said. Don't mention me at all. Just make it perfect. Understood. Is there anything special you'd like me to prepare? Just be ready for an interesting evening, I said. I have a feeling there might be some surprises. Growing up, I was the disappointment daughter. My older brother Marcus was an attorney at a prestigious firm. My older sister Victoria was a marketing executive at a Fortune 500 company. Both had impressive degrees, important-sounding jobs, houses in good neighborhoods. I was the one who never quite lived up to potential. I'd gone to a state university while my siblings attended private schools. I'd studied business and finance while they pursued law and communications. After graduation, I took a job as an assistant property manager at a small real estate company making $42,000 a year. Isabelle is in real estate, Dad would explain at family gatherings, his tone apologetic. Property management. She helps rent apartments, fixes tenant complaints, that sort of thing. Meanwhile, Marcus and Victoria's accomplishments were celebrated endlessly. Marcus just made junior partner. Victoria got promoted to senior director. They bought a house. Nobody asked about the property investments I was making. The buildings I was quietly acquiring. The real estate portfolio I was building with ruthless strategic precision. What my family didn't know, what I deliberately never told them, was that 5 years ago, I'd left that property management job to start my own real estate investment company. It began with a single property. A rundown apartment building in a gentrifying neighborhood that everyone said was too risky. I bought it for $890,000 with money I'd saved and a loan I could barely afford. I renovated it myself. Nights and weekends learning plumbing and electrical work, managing contractors, doing whatever it took to keep costs down. 6 months later, I had a fully renovated building with a 98% occupancy rate and monthly revenue of $42,000. I leveraged that property to buy another. Then another. Then a small office building. Then a mixed-use development. I had a gift for identifying undervalued properties in emerging neighborhoods, for seeing potential where others saw risk, for managing renovations efficiently and building occupancy quickly. 5 years later, my company, Chin Property Group, owned 23 buildings across the city. Apartment complexes, office buildings, retail spaces, and 3 high-end venues including the Harbor Club. My properties generated $47 million in annual revenue. My personal net worth was approximately $86 million. I employed 63 people across property management, renovation, and administration. Forbes had profiled me as one of their 30 under 30 in real estate. Commercial Real Estate magazine called me the silent mogul. Business Insider featured my investment strategy. My family thought I was an assistant property manager making $42,000 a year. I kept my two worlds completely separated. When I visited my parents' house in the suburbs, I drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic I kept specifically for family occasions. I wore clothes from Target. I lived in what they thought was a small apartment they'd never visited, so they didn't know it was actually the penthouse of a building I owned, worth $3.8 million. At family dinners I was quiet Isabelle. Unsuccessful Isabelle. Isabelle who'd never quite figured it out. At work I was Isabelle Chin, CEO of Chin Property Group. Forbes 30 under 30. The woman who'd built a real estate empire before age 32. I didn't tell my family because they'd made it clear years ago that my path wasn't impressive to them. That corporate titles mattered more than entrepreneurship. That traditional markers of success, law degrees, executive positions, were more valuable than building actual wealth. So I stopped trying to explain. I built my empire in silence while they focused on Marcus's partnership track and Victoria's corporate ladder climbing. My investors knew what I'd built. My 63 employees knew. The 23 buildings of tenants knew. The city's commercial real estate community knew. My family didn't need to know. The weeks leading up to Dad's retirement party were busy. I closed the acquisition on the Arts District Hotel, bringing my portfolio to 24 properties. We broke ground on a major renovation of an office building downtown. I gave a keynote speech at a real estate investment conference. And I confirmed every detail for Dad's party at the Harbor Club. Gerald, my property manager there, kept me updated. The Sterling party is shaping up to be quite elaborate, Ms. Chen. They've booked the VIP suite premium bar package, chef's tasting menu for 60 guests. Your mother has very specific requirements. Give her everything she wants, I said. Make it perfect. She's been demanding, Gerald said carefully. Very particular about every detail. She asked if we could have poor people removed from the lobby before her guests arrive. I closed my eyes. What did you tell her? That the Harbor Club maintains a respectful environment for all guests and we don't discriminate. She wasn't happy, but she accepted it. Good, I said. Maintain our standards. Don't compromise them for anyone. 3 days before the party, Mom called again. Isabelle, I wanted to make sure you weren't planning to just show up at the Harbor Club. I know you might feel left out, but it really is better this way. The venue is very upscale. People will be in designer gowns and expensive suits. We're trying to protect you from embarrassment. I understand, Mom, I said quietly. I won't embarrass you. Oh good. You're being so mature about this. Some daughters would throw a fit. After she hung up, I called my assistant. Emily, for Saturday evening, I'll need my Tom Ford gown. The navy one. And the Cartier jewelry set. The retirement party? Emily asked. Yes. I'm going after all. This is going to be spectacular, Emily said with barely concealed glee. It's going to be something, I agreed. June 10th arrived warm and perfect. I spent the morning at a property showing, then reviewed financial reports for Q2. Around 4 p.m. I went home to prepare. The gown was perfect. Midnight navy, elegant without being flashy, clearly expensive to anyone who knew fashion. Hair professionally styled in a classic updo. Subtle but expensive jewelry. Makeup flawless. I looked like what I was. A successful businesswoman comfortable with wealth. At 6:30 my driver collected me, not the Honda Civic but the Mercedes S-Class I actually drove. We arrived at the Harbor Club at 6:45. My Harbor Club. Gerald met me at the private entrance, the one owners used. Miss Chin, everything is ready. The Sterling party is in full swing in the VIP suite. They've been here since 6. Any issues? Your father has already complained about the wine selection and the temperature of the suite. Your mother sent back the first hors d'oeuvres saying they weren't impressive enough. But we're handling it professionally. That's my family, I said dryly. I'll be in the main dining room. Don't announce my presence. I just want to observe for a while. Understood. I entered through the main lobby. The Harbor Club was beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water, crystal chandeliers, marble floors. I'd renovated it extensively after purchase, bringing it from faded grandeur to modern elegance while maintaining its historic character. The investment had been worth every penny. The venue booked out 6 months in advance, hosted the city's most prestigious events, and generated $3.2 million annually. I settled at a small table in the main dining room with a glass of wine, watching guests arrive for various events. The Sterling party was upstairs in the VIP suite, but I could see guests heading toward the private elevator. Around 7:15 there was a commotion in the lobby. I heard Dad's voice, loud and irritated. This is unacceptable. The temperature is wrong, the wine list is inadequate, and now you're telling me we can't have background music at the volume we want. I walked to the lobby doorway, staying just out of sight. Dad stood near the front desk, red-faced in an expensive tuxedo. Mom beside him in a designer gown, looking embarrassed but supportive. Marcus and Victoria lurked behind them, uncomfortable. Gerald stood calmly professional, facing Dad's anger. Mr. Sterling, the Harbor Club has sound ordinances we must follow. We've already set the music at the maximum allowable volume. I understand it's not what you wanted, but these are city regulations we cannot violate. Do you know who I am? Dad demanded. I'm a retired senior executive. I've dined at the finest establishments in this city. I'm not used to being told no by venue staff. I apologize for any inconvenience, sir, Gerald said, his composure unwavering. However, the policies are non-negotiable. I want to speak to the owner, Dad said. Immediately. Get them on the phone. Gerald's eyes flickered toward where I stood, just out of Dad's sightline. Sir, I can certainly check with the owner. One moment. He pulled out his phone, turning slightly away. As he did, the screen lit up and I saw my photo clear as day. It was his wallpaper, a professional headshot from our last company meeting. Dad's eyes locked on the screen. His face went from red to pale in an instant. Is that? He said slowly. Is that my daughter? Gerald looked at his phone, then at Dad, his professional mask perfectly maintained. This is Miss Chen, yes. The owner of the Harbor Club. Did you not know? The color drained completely from Dad's face. Mom made a small choking sound. Your daughter owns this venue? Mom said faintly. I should clarify with her before making any policy exceptions, Gerald said smoothly. Miss Chen is very particular about maintaining our standards. Let me call her. That won't be necessary, I said, stepping into the lobby. I'm here. The silence was absolute. Dad stared at me like I'd materialized from another dimension. Mom's mouth hung open. Marcus and Victoria, standing behind our parents, looked between me and them in confusion. Good evening, I said calmly. Gerald, is there a problem? Mr. Sterling was requesting to speak with the owner about our sound ordinance policy, Gerald said. Ah, I said. Dad, the Harbor Club is required by the city to maintain certain sound levels. It's not negotiable. The policy applies to all events equally, including yours. You. Dad couldn't seem to form words. You own this place. Yes. I purchased it 18 months ago. It's been quite profitable. But, you're a property manager. You rent apartments. I'm a real estate investor, I corrected. I own a portfolio of 24 properties across the city. The Harbor Club is one of them. Mom found her voice. That's impossible. You can't afford. We told you not to come because you couldn't afford the dress code. I can afford it, I said mildly. The gown is Tom Ford. The jewelry is Cartier. I probably spent more on this outfit than you spent on yours. Victoria stepped forward. Isabelle, what is happening? You own the Harbor Club? Since when do you own anything? Since I started Chin Property Group 5 years ago, I said. I've been acquiring properties steadily. Currently managing $47 million in annual revenue across 24 buildings. The numbers hit them like physical blows. 47 million? Marcus repeated weakly. Annual revenue, yes. My personal net worth is approximately $86 million. Mom actually swayed. Dad grabbed the front desk for support. This is some kind of joke, Dad said. You're making this up. You can't be. Gerald, I said. Can you confirm my ownership? Certainly, Gerald said, pulling up documents on the front desk computer. The Harbor Club is owned by Chin Property Group, LLC. Sole owner and CO, Isabelle Chin. Purchased in January 2 years ago for $8.2 million. Current estimated value, $12.4 million. Dad looked at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. I don't understand, he said weakly. What's not to understand? I asked. I built a real estate company. I've been quite successful. You just never asked about it. You never told us. Mom said shrilly. You never wanted to know, I corrected. You'd already decided I was the disappointment daughter. The one who never lived up to potential. Why would I waste time trying to convince you otherwise? But we thought, Victoria started. You thought I was an assistant property manager making $42,000 a year, I said. Living in a tiny apartment, barely scraping by. Too poor to afford the Harbor Club's dress code. I looked at Mom. That's what you said, right? That I couldn't afford to be here? That I'd be uncomfortable around people who are more established. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Isabelle, we didn't mean. You meant exactly that, I interrupted. You uninvited me from Dad's retirement party because you were ashamed of me. Because you thought I was a failure who'd embarrass you in front of your fancy friends. We were trying to protect you. Dad protested. You were trying to protect yourselves, I corrected. From the embarrassment of having an unsuccessful daughter at your prestigious event. Gerald cleared his throat softly. Miss Chin, the Sterling party guests are wondering about Mr. and Mrs. Sterling's whereabouts. Shall I inform them there's been a delay? No, I said. They should go up. Enjoy the party. It's Dad's retirement after all. He's earned the celebration. You're not throwing us out? Dad asked, looking confused. Of course not, I said. You booked the venue in good faith. You're paying customers. You'll get exactly what you paid for, an exceptional event in a beautiful space. But we uninvited you, Mom said. Yes, you did, I agreed. But I'm not petty. Go enjoy your party. They stood frozen, not knowing what to do. Marcus finally spoke. Isabelle, I think we need to talk. Really talk. We had no idea you'd built something like this. That's because you never asked, I said. In 5 years, none of you have ever asked what I actually do. You've told me about your cases, Marcus. About your promotions, Victoria. But you've never asked about mine. Because we thought there was nothing to ask about. Victoria said. We thought you were struggling. And you never verified that assumption, I said. You just accepted it as truth because it fit the narrative you'd built about me. Gerald's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. Miss Chin, there's been a situation. One of the party guests is demanding we provide a separate entrance so they don't have to mix with regular diners. I've explained that's not possible, but... Who's making the demand? I asked. A Mrs. Caroline Whitmore. Mom gasped. Caroline is here as our guest. She's very particular about. She's a guest at my venue, I interrupted. And my venue doesn't create separate entrances for anyone regardless of who they think they are. Tell Mrs. Whitmore she's welcome to enjoy the party under the Harbor Club's standard policies, or she's welcome to leave. Gerald nodded and walked away to handle it. You'd embarrass us in front of Caroline? Mom said aghast. I'm enforcing basic standards of human decency, I said. Nobody gets special treatment that requires treating other guests as inferior. That's non-negotiable. You've changed, Dad said quietly. The Isabelle we knew wouldn't stand up to us like this. The Isabelle you knew was trying to earn your approval, I said. This Isabelle stopped caring about your approval when she realized it would never come. This Isabelle built something real instead. An older couple approached the front desk, clearly arriving for the Sterling party. The man was distinguished looking in an expensive tuxedo. The woman wore jewels that probably cost more than a car. Excuse me, the man said to Gerald. We're here for the Sterling retirement party? Of course, sir, Gerald said. The VIP suite on the second floor. The elevator is just... Margaret. Charles. Mom rushed over, her voice artificially bright. You made it. Come, let me show you to the suite. Margaret, the older woman, noticed me. Patricia, who is this stunning young woman? I don't believe we've met. This is... Mom's voice faltered. This is my daughter, Isabelle. Oh, the property manager. Margaret said. Patricia told us you couldn't make it tonight. Work obligations, was it? Actually, I said smoothly, I own the venue. I'm here to ensure everything runs smoothly for my father's party. Margaret's eyes widened. You own the Harbor Club? My dear, this is one of the finest venues in the city. How wonderful. Thank you, I said. I take great pride in it. Charles extended his hand. Charles Whitmore. Retired federal judge. I've attended several events here. Always impeccable service. I appreciate that, I said, shaking his hand. My team works very hard to maintain our standards. Your daughter owns this venue and you didn't tell us? Margaret said to my mother, clearly delighted. Patricia, how modest of you. I'd be shouting it from the rooftops. Mom's smile was frozen. It's recent news. Well, you must be enormously proud, Charles said. Real estate investment at this level requires remarkable business acumen. Your daughter is clearly brilliant. Dad made a choking sound. Shall we go up to the party? Mom said desperately. I think everyone's waiting for us. As the Whitmores followed my parents to the elevator, I heard Margaret say, honestly, Patricia, you've been hiding your daughter's success. A real estate mogul. How absolutely thrilling. Their voices faded as the elevator doors closed. Gerald returned to the desk. Miss Chin, Mrs. Caroline Whitmore has left the premises. She said she wouldn't stay at a venue that doesn't understand class distinctions. Good riddance, I said. Your family's other guests are asking about you, Gerald continued. Apparently the Whitmores have been telling everyone that you own the Harbor Club. People want to meet you. Of course they do, I said. Now that they know I'm successful, suddenly I'm interesting. Will you go up to the party? Gerald asked. I considered. Not yet. Let them sit with the revelation for a while. Let Dad's colleagues and friends congratulate him on having such a successful daughter. Let Mom explain to everyone why she tried to hide me. You're enjoying this, Gerald observed. Wouldn't you? I asked. He smiled. Absolutely. I spent the next hour in my office on the third floor, reviewing contracts and emails. Around 8:30 my phone rang. Marcus. Isabelle, please come up to the party. People want to meet you. Dad wants to talk. Mom is a mess. Please. Why should I? I asked. You didn't want me there 2 hours ago. We were wrong, Marcus said. Completely, utterly wrong. And we're sorry. But Dad's retirement party is being overshadowed by everyone talking about you instead of him. Can you please come up and, I don't know, make this normal somehow? Nothing about this situation is normal, Marcus. I know. But please. For Dad. I sighed. Fine. I'll come up for 30 minutes. That's it. The VIP suite was beautiful. I'd designed it myself after purchasing the venue. Elegant without being gaudy, sophisticated without being cold. Tonight it was decorated with silver and gold. Photos of Dad throughout his career displayed on easels. When I entered, conversations stopped. 60 people turned to look at me. Dad stood near the bar, drink in hand, looking shell-shocked. Mom sat at a table with her face in her hands. Victoria and Marcus hovered nearby, looking uncomfortable. An older man approached me immediately. You must be Isabelle Chin. Tom Harrison worked with your father for 30 years. I've been hearing remarkable things about your real estate portfolio. Thank you, Mr. Harrison, I said. Your father never mentioned you owned property, he said. Always talked about Marcus the attorney and Victoria the executive, but never said a word about his real estate mogul daughter. We're not close, I said simply. Well, that's a shame, Tom said. A daughter who builds an $86 million empire before age 35? That's something to brag about. More people crowded around. Questions about my properties, my investment strategy, how I'd built Chin Property Group. Professional respect I'd never received from my own family, freely given by Dad's colleagues who'd just learned I existed. Dad watched from across the room, his expression unreadable. Finally, someone called for speeches. Marcus went first, talking about Dad's professional accomplishments. Victoria went second, sharing personal memories. Then everyone looked at me. Isabelle, Marcus said. Would you like to say something? I walked to the front of the room. 60 pairs of eyes watched me. Good evening, I said. For those who don't know me, I'm Isabelle Chin, Robert Sterling's youngest daughter. I own this building you're currently standing in. Polite laughter. My father worked hard his entire career, I continued. He built a successful life, provided for his family, earned the respect of his colleagues. That's worth celebrating. I paused. I built something too. A real estate company, a portfolio of properties, a team of 63 employees. I built it quietly without fanfare while my family focused elsewhere. The room was silent now. Today I learned that my family uninvited me from this party because they thought I couldn't afford the venue. Because they were embarrassed by what they thought was my lack of success. Because they wanted to protect me from feeling uncomfortable around accomplished people. I looked at my parents. What they didn't know is that I am the accomplished person. I'm the one who built wealth, not just earned a salary. I'm the one who took risks and created something lasting. Dad's face was crimson. Mom was crying openly. But here's what I want everyone to understand, I said. My father's retirement is worth celebrating regardless of my success. His career matters independent of my achievements. Tonight is about him, not me. I raised my glass. To Robert Sterling. May your retirement be as rewarding as your career. Everyone drank. Then the party resumed, but the energy had changed. People looked at my parents differently. With questions. With judgment. I left after exactly 30 minutes as promised. The next morning my doorbell rang at 8 a.m. Security footage showed my entire family in the lobby. Mom, Dad, Marcus, Victoria, even Marcus's wife and Victoria's husband. I bussed them up to my penthouse. They filed in silently, taking in the space. The floor-to-ceiling windows, the designer furniture, the art on the walls. The unmistakable markers of wealth. This is where you live. Mom said faintly. Yes. It's the penthouse of a building I own. Market value approximately $3.8 million. Victoria sank onto my couch. We thought you lived in some tiny studio apartment. You thought that because you never visited, I said. You never asked to see my home, meet my friends, understand my life. You decided who I was and never questioned it. We're sorry, Dad said. His voice sounded old, tired. Isabelle, we're profoundly sorry. We failed you as parents. We were so focused on traditional success markers, degrees, titles, salaries, that we couldn't see you were building something far more impressive. Why? I asked. Why were you so certain I was failing? Because you didn't follow the path we understood, Mom said. Marcus went to law school, Victoria climbed the corporate ladder. Those were paths we recognized as success. Real estate investment, building a company, we didn't understand it, so we dismissed it. You dismissed me, I corrected. Yes, Mom whispered. We dismissed you. And we were wrong. Marcus spoke up. Isabelle, I'm ashamed. I spent years telling you about my cases, my partnership track, like I was teaching you what success looked like. And the whole time, you were more successful than I'll ever be. Success isn't a competition, I said. No, but respect should be baseline, Marcus replied. And we didn't respect you. We didn't respect your path, your choices, your achievements. That's on us. Victoria was crying. You could have told us. You could have corrected our assumptions. Why? I asked. So you could find new ways to minimize my achievements? So you could say real estate doesn't count like a law degree counts? So you could claim I just got lucky? We wouldn't have, Victoria started. Yes, you would have, I interrupted. Because you needed me to be the failure. The comparison point that made your own successes look better. If I was the struggling sister, it made your accomplishments seem more impressive. The truth of that hung in the air. What do we do now? Dad asked finally. How do we fix this? I don't know if you can, I said honestly. You can't undo years of dismissiveness. You can't erase uninviting me from Dad's retirement because I was too poor for the dress code. You can't take back every time you acted like my life didn't matter. But we want to try, Mom said. We want to know you. Really know you. Not the daughter we invented, but the woman you actually are. I looked at them, My family, flawed and human, and finally seeing me. Then it starts with curiosity instead of assumptions, I said. With asking instead of deciding. With respecting my path even when you don't understand it. We can do that, Dad said. We will do that. Hey, I said. Then let's try. But this isn't fixed with one conversation. This is years of damage. It takes time. We have time, Mom said. However long it takes. 3 months later, I stood at the groundbreaking ceremony for my 25th property. A mixed-use development that would be the crown jewel of my portfolio. My family attended. All of them. They stood in the crowd of investors, city officials, and press, watching me give the speech about vision and transformation and building something lasting. After the ceremony, Dad approached me. That was impressive, honey. Really impressive. Thanks, Dad. I've been reading about real estate investment, he said. Trying to understand what you do. I still don't fully grasp it, but I'm learning. That means something, I said. That you're trying to understand. I should have tried years ago, he said. But I'm trying now. That counts for something, doesn't it? I looked at him. This man who'd dismissed me for years, who was finally making an effort. Yes, I said. It counts for something. Mom joined us, followed by Marcus and Victoria. They'd all been making efforts. Visiting my office. Asking about my properties. Actually listening when I talked about my work. It wasn't perfect. We weren't fixed. But we were trying. And sometimes trying is enough. Victoria looked at the construction site. 25 properties. Isabelle, you've built an empire. I built something real, I corrected. While you all were looking elsewhere. We see you now, Marcus said quietly. Finally, we see you. I looked at the construction site. My 25th property, my growing empire, the physical manifestation of years of work they'd never noticed. Good, I said. Because I'm not going anywhere. This is who I've always been. You just finally decided to look. Dad put his arm around my shoulders. We're proud of you, Isabelle. I should have said that years ago. But I'm saying it now. We're proud. It wasn't enough to fix everything. Pride now didn't erase dismissiveness then. But it was something. And as I looked at my family finally seeing me, finally trying to understand, I realized that sometimes something is enough. At least for a beginning.